The year is 1870 in Massachusetts. You opened your wallet and took out a $100 bill to buy some milk and beef for unknown reasons. What? This is what $100 can buy you. 100 pounds of beef, which is about 5 years worth of beef consumption for the average American. And alongside that, you were also able to buy 250 gallons of milk that'll last you for 11 years if you drink a cup of milk every single day. Fast forward to 2024, the same $100 can only buy you this much, just 8 pounds of beef and 10 gallons of milk. And to be frank, this is 40 times less than what you get when compared to the year 1870.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Transportation in 1870, with $100 you could buy yourself a horse along with enough feed to last it for 3 to 4 months. As for rent, that same $100 would cover nearly 10 months in a 3-bedroom house with a front yard. Plenty of room for a family of 5. Nowadays, $100 barely makes a dent in transportation or housing. Forget about a horse. In 2024, that amount might get you a single car tire or cover just 4 days' rent for a small room. Nowhere near a whole house. And if you're looking for a small apartment in Massachusetts, brace yourself for prices around $3,900 a month. Sure, wages were a lot different between these two eras, but when you look at expenses, there's no denying that life in 1870 was a lot more affordable. Back then, an engineer made about $71 a month. Peanuts compared to today's average $7,800. But here's the kicker. Rent for a 3-bedroom house in 1870 only took up around 13.5% of that monthly paycheck. Fast forward to 2024, and renting a 3-bedroom apartment now swallows nearly 47% of your monthly income.
This is disgusting.
And it doesn't stop at rent. Let's talk about groceries for a second. In 1870, food was cheap. Not just grab a discount at the store cheap, but ridiculously affordable compared to now. Remember the 100 pounds of beef and 250 gallons of milk? Back then, that was a normal trip to the market. Today, if you tried to stockpile that much, you'd probably need a second mortgage just to cover the groceries. It's not just the basics either. Transportation? In 1870, a decent horse would set you back around $60, about a month's salary for an engineer. Not too bad when you think about how essential a horse was for getting around. Fast forward to 2024, and $60 wouldn't even cover a full tank of gas. And let's not even talk about car prices. Buying a new car can easily eat up 2, 3, or even 4 years of salary, depending on what you're driving. The bottom line is that life was just more affordable back then. Sure, wages were lower, but when essentials only took a small portion of your income, life felt less tight. In today's world, everything from housing to transportation to food demands a larger slice of the paycheck, making it feel like the cost of living is always rising while our purchasing power struggles to keep up. It's a reality that's left many younger generations feeling squeezed. To dive deeper into how today's economic pressures are shaping their outlook, be sure to later check out our related videos in the description below. Even entertainment was a steal in the 1870s. Want to catch a show or read a book? You could probably enjoy an evening out at the theater for a couple of dollars, and books were way more affordable than they are today. Now, go to the movies might as well be a luxury event with ticket prices rivaling a fancy dinner. So it's safe to say the world has shifted. Whether we like it or not, back in the 1870s, that $100 would have set you up nicely for months, maybe even years. Today it feels more like a drop in the ocean. But hey, at least we have smartphones, right? And speaking of smartphones, imagine trying to explain one to someone in 1870. You pull out your phone and they'd probably be fascinated, wondering how it fits in your pocket while allowing you to talk to someone miles away. Back then, communication was through letters, and a 3-cent stamp was all it took to get your message across. Sure, it took days to arrive, but no one was in a rush like we are now. In 2024, we're spending hundreds of dollars on high-speed internet and phone bills just to send a message instantly. It's the price of convenience, but it's a big shift from the simplicity of the past. Healthcare is another area where the difference is striking. In 1870, a doctor might make a house call for just a few dollars, and a prescription wouldn't break the bank. Today, even a quick visit to the doctor can cost significantly, even with insurance. While medical advancements have brought us better treatments and longer lives, the cost has soared, making healthcare a major expense for many families. Then there's education. In 1870, higher education was still a privilege, but for those who could attend, the costs were surprisingly modest. Take law school, for example. The entire cost of just $50, and an average lawyer could expect to earn around $78 per month, making education a worthwhile, achievable investment. Fast forward to 2024, and the cost of a law degree has skyrocketed to around $88,000, more than many families earn in a year. Today, lawyers might bring in an average $9,200 a month, but the high tuition costs mean that many graduates spend decades paying back loans. What once seemed like an attainable path to success has, for many, turned into a financial burden that defines their future. With higher education costs reaching all-time highs, many wonder whether the investment's still worth it. It's a dilemma with no easy answer, and in this video, we'll explore what makes higher education so valuable and so complicated in today's world. Be sure to check it out later.
Okay.
When we step back and look at it all, whether it's transportation, housing, or even basic needs like food, it's clear that modern life comes with a much higher price tag. The achievements we've made in technology, healthcare, and education are incredible, but they've also made life more expensive. In 1870, the pace of life may have been slower and the options more limited, but it also seemed a little more manageable in terms of cost. Of course, it's not all about rising costs. There are areas where life has undeniably improved. Take access to information, for example. In 1870, if you wanted to learn something new, you had to find a book or rely on word of mouth. Libraries were invaluable, but your access to knowledge was limited by what was available locally. Today, with the internet at our fingertips, we have more information than we know what to do with. Need to know something? A quick search online can give you an answer in seconds. It's a luxury we often take for granted, but it shows just how far we've come. That said, there's a certain charm in how things used to be. Life in 1870 was simpler, less connected perhaps, but also less hurried. People relied more on their communities, and daily life wasn't driven by notifications or a constant stream of updates. It was a slower pace, one where, despite the lack of modern conveniences, there was a different kind of balance. These days, we've gained speed and efficiency, but sometimes at the cost of simplicity. Then there's the matter of work. In 1870, jobs were more physically demanding for many, but work-life balance looked different. Without smartphones or laptops to check emails after hours, when the workday ended, it ended. Today, with remote work and constant connectivity, it can feel like the lines between work and personal time blur more and more. Sure, technology has given us flexibility, but it's also created the expectation of being always on, which adds a different kind of pressure. But there's a major difference between these eras: the future of work. In 1870, jobs were demanding but reliable. A blacksmith or farm laborer knew their trade was secure. Today, rapid advancements in automation and AI bring new uncertainties. Many jobs once considered safe are now being transformed, outsourced, or replaced by machines, raising questions about what the workforce will look like in the near future. Back then, the job market may have been tough, but it didn't carry today's uncertainty about machines increasingly taking on human roles. To learn more about how automation might reshape our workforce, be sure to take a look at our video on the top right. Despite all the changes, one thing remains the same: people adapt. Whether it was navigating life in 1870 or figuring things out in 2024, each era brings its own challenges and opportunities. The affordability of the past is something we can look back on and reflect upon, but the advances we've made are also worth appreciating. We've traded some things for others, and while it's easy to feel nostalgic for the good old days, there's a lot to be grateful for in the present too, although it's not by choice that we were born into this era. In the end, comparing 1870 to 2024 is like comparing two entirely different worlds. The past may seem simpler, cheaper, and in some ways more grounded, but we've gained incredible advancements that have shaped the way we live today. It's easy to feel nostalgic about an era where a $100 bill could stretch for months, but we can't overlook the opportunities modern life gives us. Opportunities our ancestors couldn't have dreamed of. Yes, things cost more now, and sometimes it feels like everything demands a bigger slice of our paycheck. But with those costs come advancements in healthcare, technology, education, and even the ability to connect with people across the globe in an instant. The world has changed, and while we can appreciate where we've come from, we also have to navigate the present and make the best of what we have now. So whether you're imagining that trip back in 1870 or simply looking around in 2024, the value of a dollar may have changed, but the benefits of progress, like living longer, enjoying better health, and thriving in a safer environment, are what truly stand the test of time.